Yes, Mani.
Yeah, hi, Vijay, good morning. Yeah, I want to share my experience. I recently attended an interview. They start asking because I'm not from database background, but the question is so what type of database you're using, which scenario, which database you have to use, and so how the configuration. So when you have to use non-SQL database and SQL database, so this kind of question there I was faced, but I'm not able to answer much. But just I don't know these kind of questions, Vijay.
Okay.
Just sharing my.
Okay. Are you able to see one diagram here? I already posted one detailed session in my YouTube playlist, but still people are not able to understand. So if you are planning to come inside cloud and DevOps, the first thing is you need to understand how to decide. You no need to be a master until unless you are not from database background. But some point you need to understand how things are working. Okay, I'm going to explain quickly. See, the database normally you need to first ask yourself or your manager or your team member or whoever it is. Okay, whenever you go to any new project or any new account or new job, okay, when you go inside that project, first thing what you need to ask is you need to ask, okay, availability, okay, and consistency and partition tolerance. If you search it in Google, Ironman triangle theorem, okay, and so if you ask yourself, first of all, you need to understand one thing: you can satisfy only two, not three, for most of the situation. Okay, if the project wants availability and consistency both, then mostly it's going to be structured. Availability and partition tolerance, and mostly here and here are going to be the same. Okay, semi-structured, unstructured. Okay, availability and partition tolerance are and consistency. If you are getting answer either here or here, it's going to be semi-structured data or unstructured data. What is mean by structured data? What is mean by semi-structured data? What is mean by unstructured data? Any view? Raise your hand. I will. You just share what you know. Yeah, Isaac. Go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Isaac.
Okay. Structured data is the data that have schema,
Yeah.
and structured is the one that does have no schema, no defined pattern, or undefined pattern is
Yes.
structure.
Okay. Yes. So structured data means it's a well-defined information. Like, say, for example, are you able to see the Excel sheet? So the structured data means either it will be like a serial number with all your name, mail ID, phone number. Sorry, phone. So it is kind of a relational database management which you need. Address. So you will have like this, like a kind of a CSV file. So if you go here, the structured data will fall under in this way. In this way. So how many of you know what is mean by semi-structured data or unstructured data? Any input? What is mean by semi-structured data or unstructured data? Anybody? What is mean by semi-structured data? Yes, Rajesh. Yes, Matthew.
Yes, Vijay. Semi-structured or unstructured data, it means mostly used for big data purpose, like data analytics, like
Now, can you
streaming.
give me any example? What kind of example you can give it?
The semi-structured data, it means like videos and as well as
Yeah.
images. Those
So
are
semi-structured data means we will go one by one. So video is semi-structured data, you are saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other people?
images as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, this is Srianand. See, for example, see, the unstructured data would be like, say, for example, you take the data from Facebook or where it is not in a proper format, or completely from a text where you want to pick up something, from a speech you want to pick up something, that would be the unstructured data part.
Yes.
And then you do it for
exactly.
analysis.
So semi is something different, Rajesh. Semi is like this is the one. So let me just bigger one. So are you able to see my screen, Rajesh? Semi-structured is you can take any one of this data. So yeah, Madhavi. And unstructured data. Unstructured data is
unstructured data means
video,
it's a kind of a text.
videos, images.
It's a kind of video.
Okay, so
files.
Yeah, files. So mostly, Rajesh, semi-structured data, unstructured data, you need to have more clarification because we are almost going inside cloud and DevOps, almost started. So most of the projects now started even concentrating on the data part. The opportunity wise very huge going forward. Data and blockchain. So you need, as an infrastructure person, as an existing skills, you don't need to worry. But the only thing is you need to keep eye on what is needed. That's it. Okay. So I'm going back to here. So in RDBMS, say for example, you have some structured data, and that structured data. Again, another question I want to ask people. If you see, if your client or your project or your requirement says, okay, I will get every hour 10,000 requests. I'm just giving example. And my maximum forecast is going to be say 50 terabyte. So you know the complete control of traffic. Okay. So in that case, you go with this part, choosing this data, because you know the concurrent user, you know the predictable load, everything. But the other side of the coin, you don't know what is the unpredictable load. You don't know how much concurrent users going to be, because everything is just a assumption. But you are seeing there is a lot of spike. In that case, you have to carefully go in this kind of offering. So if you need to put some decision tree like this, then you need to decide. Not simply MySQL, not simply Oracle, not simply PostgreSQL. So you need to first understand what kind of a need you have. Okay, I will share one more detailed diagram because this is a off the diagram only. So you need to first ask whether structured data or unstructured data or semi-structured data. Then you need to ask, in structured data, do you know the predictable load? Do you know the concurrent user? And the same, there is another type. I don't know the number of users going to access. Sometimes 10,000 users, sometimes 1 lakh users. Okay, and because of that, the load also I cannot predict. In this kind of a situation, if you end up with, then you need to put the decision tree like this. Yes, Trinath. I think Okay, so now I'm coming to the semi-structured data. If your data is semi-structured data like a, JSON file, or you are going to have some CSV based input, then it's a key value database where you need to go kind of a DynamoDB similar databases. There are a couple of databases. So, but I just mentioned some of the important one with respect to AWS, and even the images are completely unstructured data, right? So you need to go these kind of database, but still you have a challenge. You need to how you can seek the data, how you can retrieve the data, how you can read the data. These are all one of the area, because if you are not from the data project, if you are just a cloud administrator, still you need to maintain this infrastructure as a cloud admin or DevOps admin. That also one of the responsibility you need to have, right? So don't think that this is not related to me. So of course this is a data project, but to deliver this data project as a cloud admin, as a cloud person, you need to be in a position to create this database, create these security rules, create all capacity, taking a backup, everything, planning, support, everything you have to do it. Okay, so this is a simple high level idea. I'm going to open one more diagram.
Vijay, before that, I just got a question here.
Yes.
Yeah. So the third type of unstructured data, what you're talking about,
Yeah.
will be taking the data dynamically. Say, let me take example as Facebook. Will we be taking it dynamically from the database of the Facebook every time, or
No, wait. That question will be answered in this diagram.
Yeah.
So actually, the video I released is a very small part, because many people still not in that stage to understand. So this diagram is going to be a very detailed one. Okay. Okay. Let me walk through. Okay. Even if you are not in now, definitely any project nowadays without data, they are not surviving. Okay, they are started concentrating on more on data. Okay, so now this is the AWS based diagram, but simple. You can replace the equivalent services with Azure, equivalent services with the Google Cloud. That's it. But the workflow, the concept is completely same. Okay, so I am a data uploader. Maybe I'm uploading my images to Facebook, or so. Who am I? I'm a data uploader. So I'm uploading daily couple of videos, daily couple of images. So that part is from internet as a consumer. But from the internal, there will be a data team, data scientist, data analyst, right? So they are uploading some data. Assume they are uploading into S3 bucket. This diagram is going to be completely AWS. Then I will come first. I will explain from AWS point. Then I will go with the Azure point. Okay. So now I am a data scientist. I am uploading to S3 bucket. Okay. The S3 bucket, there will be a 3 type of data I can upload. Correct. One. What are those 3 types? One is okay. Let me just delete this. Okay, can you go and see here? So this is the one type of data. Okay, say data X, and data Y also similar to other Excel sheet. Maybe you can have the serial number, and the first data you got their details, mail ID, phone number. The second data, what is their degree qualification? Because it's a interlinked. What is their certifications? Okay, and what is their experience? So of course the employee name. So you are you are almost close to this data 1, this data. So you can call it as a X data. This is Y data. So there are 3 possibilities. One is, let me just, okay. So one is either I have a X data and also I may have Y data. So what is the 2 combination? Either I can go with the X data only, or I can go with X plus Y or Y plus X. So without apart from this combination, I don't think any options. Anybody agree this? So I have a data 1 or data 2. So maybe this plus this or this plus this. Okay, so this plus this or this plus this. So this is the combination. You can go for any data verification or data analysis or anything, right? So in this case, the same will be applicable for semi-structured data. The same will be applicable for unstructured data. If you go the unstructured data. Okay, so now what is my take on this? So in this, sometimes you may receive some wrong address. Okay, people will fill some false address, right? So you need to be in a position to validate, okay, and accept only the correct data. If there is a wrong, if I see, I need to nullify. Okay, I need to nullify, right? So go for it. This is the data validation. Of course, there are other services also you can use it, because the one which I showed is completely serverless. Again, I want to ask this question: what is mean by serverless? What is mean by compute? Anybody? What is mean by serverless? What is mean by compute? Any input? Okay, go ahead, Vijay. Go ahead, Ravi.
Yeah, serverless means like a SaaS, like software as a services. We can directly use applications, and compute means we need to install some compute, and over that, on top of that, we need to install any database.
Yeah, basically you no need to worry about the servers. You no need to worry about any infrastructure headache, right? All you can do is you can just take the service, you do it, and only you are going to pay. So you need to install the server, you need to create the server, you need to decide the CPU, you need to decide the memory. That and all you no need. You just select the service and you tell what need to do. That's it. Only your query going to run. In order to run, what kind of a server need, that and all, it's their headache. Who am I? I am a cloud provider, right? So first we will go with the serverless, then we will go with the server compute. Okay, so now I have one challenge. What is my challenge? If this Excel sheet, say for example, going huge data, say I have 14 lakhs records, employee records. Okay, assume you have 14 lakhs record in this employee data. So in order to process and verify and find out what are all incorrect data from this 14 lakh, every 5 minutes I am receiving 14 lakh. Now after 5 minutes 14 lakh again 14. So I'm getting a huge data sets, right? So if I go with the lambda, okay, many of you know or don't know what is the limitation, main limitation in AWS lambda. What is the main limitation in AWS lambda?
We can run only for about 15 minutes, I think. We cannot run long running processes.
Okay, any other people? Isaac, Vikas?
Yes, 15 minutes for runtime for lambda after event is triggered.
Okay. So the lambda is having some limitation. Okay, and you need to first understand your work. what are all going to be the uh, time taken. At least the approximate you need to have it, right? So if you go and Google, you need to search or you can discuss even the AWS official forums, right? So if you click this, see here. So normally, if your data set is a huge data set, then you should think before you spend all your time on Lambda, because Lambda is having some limitation. If anything more than 15 minutes, that means one task, if you are executing, the task is getting completed every time, minimum above 15 minutes, then you need to take a call whether I need to go with a Lambda or I need to choose the different services. So that is exactly people are missing. Even I raised this during my most of the candidates interview, and they are not able to answer. They know how to execute the program in Lambda, how to create a Lambda, everything, but that is not my interest. So my interest is he is trying to execute one program in Lambda. That's fine. That everyone knows. But what is the purpose? If his script is going to be a huge script, then he need to understand the limitation also, right? So each function, if you think more than 15 minutes, then definitely it's not going to your cup of tea, right? So that's the exact I have mentioned here. Okay, above 15 minutes, then what are the other options for me in AWS available? So either first, again, you need to ask, are you okay, or do you have any administrator team in the backend? If your answer is yes, then go for some compute based sources. Or if your answer is no, okay, no, I am a manager, I have only management people with very less tech team, then your answer should be some serverless based services like AWS Glue. AWS Glue and all, you just use it, and how much you are using you are going to pay. But can anyone tell me in what cases serverless is going to kill me? In what cases serverless services going to help me? Anybody? In what are the scenarios serverless going to help me? In what are the scenarios serverless services going to kill me?
Vijay, it's like serverless Lambda is event driven. So whenever in social media, if you post some message, it's event driven. So you get notification. In that kind, basically, um, it's like uh, it's like it saves the cost,
Okay,
compute power. Yeah.
still I'm expecting some other answer.
Okay.
Anybody? When I will feel happy from serverless, when I will feel depressed from serverless. Okay, Isaac and Vikas, Vignesh. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes. We're gonna feel happy because with serverless, it can help you for auto remediation of your events that contradict your configuration that you set up.
May I go
No.
ahead?
Yeah. I'm expecting some other answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Serverless, whenever we will feel serverless when the application is used, and there should not be no longer use for the application. At that time, we will feel the serverless application is good. Yeah, and when we go to server-based application, if in future we require the data for any purpose, so that kind of situation we will go. We need to go with server-based
No,
application.
see,
If we
you
don't
are
want
all
to
you are all
the
answering.
don't.
You are all answering correct only, but there should be a concrete point, first point to go here or not. That is the first point I'm expecting. These are all technical reasons, but I'm looking for some concrete reason to decide I need to go serverless, be happy, or I should not go serverless because I won't be happy. So what is that? Any example? We'll go with it, because this is also one of the major gap from all certified people. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may contribute something,
Yeah.
if you're looking for an architecture that's going to be highly scalable, so you can also go with serverless, because most serverless services are highly scalable in nature. So a part of the cost, you want to look at scalability and availability.
Okay. No, still I'm expecting some other answer. Anybody? Probably I can explain. The last any input? Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. I am a manager. I am in my project, so I have a team. Okay, so there is a requirement every hour. Okay, of course, more than this decision, if business decide no, I don't want to take any infrastructure headache, of course there is no other option, we have to go with the serverless. But if I'm really worried on the billing point or budget concern, then we have to go in this calculation. So 1 hour I am getting 10,000 requests. In each 10,000 requests, the each data set is going to complete minimum 18 minutes. Okay, so in this scenario, what you will do, what service you will do, whether you will go with serverless or server compute, or how it's going to be. First of all, you need to understand this is also serverless, this is also serverless. So because I haven't explained, there is a server compute, this is the server compute. Okay, so what you will prefer, serverless or server compute in this case? So here we will first talk about the serverless. Here, first of all, above 18 minutes each data set. Okay, so definitely Lambda is not going to be your choice. It has to be something like a AWS Glue. You agree? You agree, right? Vignesh, everybody? Rajkumar, Bertrand?
Yes, Vijay, I agree.
So in this case, what I have to do is I need to just go and say this AWS Glue. Okay, if my data set is less than 15 minutes, okay, my choice is going to be only serverless, then go with the event driven Lambda. But Lambda, if you are going to Lambda, if you have a task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, right, don't go with task 1 completed, the same Lambda you start with this, same Lambda start with this, same Lambda start with this. So if you go in this way, most of the security review, it will be denied. So if you have 4 tasks, you better create Lambda 1 function. Okay, there is an option Lambda 1 function. So create 4 Lambda 1 functions so that your security will be easily passed. This is also one of the thing people are missing. Even the AWS exam also, there are a couple of questions, right? So I'm just going down. Right now I'm talking only serverless, not server compute. I will come back later. Okay, now I have validated. So I have nullified with the wrong information. Okay, so now I have a valid information, right? So right now I have original CSV file, and the validated CSV file. This is original, this is validated. So I need to store the original as well as validated, right? So that is the exact I am mentioned this. Cleaned data, invalid data. Invalid data means whatever from the original I need to store for some time because of my reference purpose, audit purpose, even for some verification purpose, right? So the same If I go with the above 15 minutes, here also I have to do the same, right? So now you tell me, I have now validated this data. So directly, can I use this? Can I access this file, and can I retrieve the employee information directly from application? Anyone? Any idea? Directly we can go with, because I validated information. Now I have the completed details. So whatever CSV, whatever Excel file I have is completely validated. There is no wrong address, there is no wrong phone number, there is no wrong mail ID. So I have some information with this validated, with this cleaned data. So in that case, application can go and directly access whenever I need any information. Any idea? Soban, yes. Kaja, Rajkumar, yeah, go ahead. I have already unmuted. So I'll put my question again. I have now validated. So I have a .csv file with valid information. So I'm sure there is no wrong data. There is no empty data. Okay. So now I have some application, like say WebLogic, WebSphere, or some application, Java application. Can I access from this to directly here? Vikas, yes. Srinath, yes. Once you finished means you lower your hand, because I'm seeing a lot of hands raised. If you don't have any question, please lower your hand. Rajkumar. Okay, so from application directly you cannot keep access this information. So you need some reference, right? So which data, where it is available, right? That is called metadata. Maybe you can say properties. Say you can say properties. Yes, Kaja, you raised your hand. So it's called properties. Okay, so now I'm going to open the metadata WES. Okay, let me just open up here. Are you able to see this diagram? Are you able to see this diagram? Okay, so here, can you see this is the actual data? Now the metadata means where it is available, right? This metadata only can help application to go and pick up the right data immediately. If you don't have any metadata, then application will really degraded, right? So that is why always the metadata. Okay, first step is you need to receive the data, the CSV file, this file, and you need to validate the data. Okay, validate, and then you validate and store some area, some folder. Okay, this is the validated data, and from this validated data you again create a metadata, because application need to know which information, where I need to go and pick it up. So create metadata. Metadata is like a properties, file properties. Who is the owner, where, which folder the data is available, and what kind of a permission, when accessed, when modified. So all those things, overall can access that information. So it's a metadata is a very small information. This is also a small dB, but it's kind of a small information. So this metadata you can keep it in. Okay, another question. Now you see I have a data, validated data, maybe is a CSV file or some file. Now I have a metadata. Okay, so now I have a click application, I have a lot of Java application, I have say Java application, I have maybe a .NET application. I have some web application, right? From web application, I want to access it. So for that, will you, okay, first question, you store data plus metadata into DB, or only you store metadata into DB, you keep data in S3 bucket? So S3 bucket. Any idea? Yeah, Obina, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll keep the data only in S3 bucket, then store the metadata in the Redis database.
Why? What is the use of it? Why don't we? Why can't we keep both data and metadata in database?
Well, S3 is cheaper and it can take a lot of data.
Exactly. So going to keep data as well as metadata in S3 bucket, it doesn't make any sense, because the application need a data to access. So you are facilitating application to say, okay, you need some information. Okay, you go and refer. The metadata is a properties. So it will tell you where you need to go and pick up the file. So this data is the huge size. So don't think to keep this in database. You will be crunched with the cost. But there are scenarios where you need to think. We will cover it in one of the use case session. Anyway, I have the use cases. So the metadata will help you to reach out there where you have the actual data, and application will try to fetch the data and process it. So normally the advice is keep your metadata in database, data in some cheaper storage. This is how you need to plan. Okay, Sulaiman. Okay, you lower your hand. Manigandan, yes, go ahead. Vikas, yeah, go ahead.
I have one doubt here. Whatever you said that we need to be keep the data in storage, because we are not directly accessing the data from the storage. That's why we need to be store the metadata and data in DB, because whenever we send the request, it will search in the metadata, then it will go to the data and it retrieves the data, and it provides the information to us. In case if we deleted both metadata and data, and we restored the data from the S3 bucket to database, then in this scenario, what we need to be do?
Okay.
Because there is no such metadata is available there.
Okay.
Somehow it is cached or something. In this situation, what we need to be do?
Can you repeat your question?
We are accessing the data from application. So whenever we request for data, the application will go to the metadata in database. It will search in metadata. If the request is valid, then it will go to the database, actual data, and it will retrieve the data and it will provide the information to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And in S3 bucket, we are just keeping the backup of the data, not the metadata.
Yeah. So now what is your question?
In any situation, both metadata and data is delayed. The data from the S3 bucket to data. In this situation,
no, you are
we are not getting the
Vikash, your voice is really feeble. We are not able to understand what exactly you asked last.
Please.
No, your voice is really feeble. Are you connected mobile internet? Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Mostly the sessions.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, mostly sessions you try to connect via wireless Wi-Fi broadband.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
My question is that whenever we request for the data, first of all, it will go to the metadata. It will search into the metadata, and then it will go to the database.
No, I got your point, but what is your question? tell me.
So in case of metadata and data is deleted from the database, whatever, if it is cache or something, and then we request for the data, we cannot fetch the data from the database, and we restore the data from the S3 bucket to database. In this situation, how we can get the metadata?
No. Okay. So you are your question is metadata, how we are going to keep the redundancy or backup or everything, right? So that is why I clearly said metadata we are storing in database, correct? So in this database, you have to think about, again, many people will now getting a larger picture. What is how do I ensure availability, recovery point objective, correct? So you need to think about what you agreed the client. Yeah, Matthew. So what we agreed with the client. So what I'm going to do is I need to ensure how many backup you need to and what interval you need to keep it. So there are a lot of backup mechanisms as part of the database which you are using, right? So you need to have a proper backup. See, every area, even the data, S3 bucket, even EC2, any service where you are using, you need to think about, you need to map it to RPO and RTO. That is a simple concept you need to do going forward. If you are saying, Vijay, I'm using EC2, I'm using VPC, I'm using say S3 bucket, I'm using Lambda. So if you list down some 10 services, each service you map it. Each service you map it. That is the long term you are growing as a senior person. That's it. RPO means data. RTO means availability. That's it. So in this case, you are talking about the metadata. Metadata also small dB, very small dB. It's a properties that anyway we are going to put it in the database. So you need to start think about the database backup. Say for example, you are putting in a Oracle database. You need to think about what kind of a backup, what kind of a schedule I need to take it. If you are thinking in DynamoDB, then you need to start think about the DynamoDB in that tables, how you are going to back up and what schedules every 4 hours or every that decision you need to take it from RPO agreement. Are you clear? Yeah, Matthew. I have
I have a question.
Yes.
Let's
Your voice is blank, Matthew. Manikandan, you already unmuted, Manikandan.
I have a question here, just some basic understanding.
Yeah, go ahead. That is why we are here.
You mentioned this verified data is a structured data, right? So how we can store it in S3 bucket? Because I'm based on your explanation.
No. The structured data is going to be that is why I said it's a CSV file. The structured data, there is no other option. You need to go with the RDBMS. Okay. So here I'm just said there is a some information you are receiving, and that information may be kind of a CSV file or JSON file or XML file. So structured data, straightforward money. It's only RDBMS database. Because you need to store it in the direct tables. Money. Hello, Mani, are you clear? Mani?
Yeah. So which means RDBMS means we have to store it only CSV JSON files, right? That's what you're
no. RDBMS, you need to this information you need to directly store as a tables. You create a table, and in that table you need to store all this information. RDBMS is that only.
Okay. So we have creating a table inside the database.
Yes. In that table, you need to create an employee ID. You need to create a first name and all field, and each field you need to store the relevant information.
Okay.
The one
Okay.
which we are talking about is, say, if you are receiving some semi-structured, these are all semi-structured only. So semi-structured, if you are receiving, I'm going to validate the data, and that validation, I need to put it in one folder. So I know this folder having all validated data, and from there, I need to create a metadata. That metadata plus the data, there is a question. So where I need to keep it? Both I need to keep it in database, or I need to keep it in S3 bucket. So if you see, this data size is huge. We are all hearing, right, data warehouse and all. So it's a really massive size. So I cannot keep this size in database because I will be killed with billing. So somewhere I need to find out some cost effective where I need to look for the cheap storage. But if I keep the data in the files in the cheap storage, but application going there and accessing, it will take a lot of time. Remember, the indexing is the main painful part. So what I'm saying is, you need to create some metadata, put this metadata in the database. Actually his question is, we are putting metadata in database. So S3 bucket, anyway, we have a replication, and we can take a other region backup. But if we put the metadata in database, say DynamoDB, so then DynamoDB automatically, you need to think about as part of RPO, how every 2 hours you need to take a backup, or every 1 hour. It's entirely depends on your project RPO. Because if the client said more than 3 hours, he cannot tolerate the data loss, then accordingly you need to plan. That is what his question is. Are you clear, Mani?
Yes, Vijay, I got it now. Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Clear.
So, Sulaiman, Isaac, are you clear? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to clear this. I'm going to come back to the actual diagram. Okay. So now I got this, and I have cleaned again. There will be a, if the folder received the data, okay, automatically the next trigger should happen, because that is how the workflow I have to create, right? So how do I create? So whenever there is a cleaned data, right, from some small CSV file, in this automatically the Lambda should trigger, or if I'm using the glue, there is a scheduler. So you need to trigger that. Then now there is a actual area where we have just discussed before. So in that YouTube class, I have explained only this, but actually there is a bigger part. So you need to trigger, and in this point where you need to decide what kind of a database you are going to. Okay, in this case, if your answer is going to be a structured data, okay, where you have some data, where you can have some structured information to store, right, then RDBMS. If you answer or anything for related to semi-structured or unstructured data, then it is going to be your key, whether you want availability or partition tolerance, or you want consistency or partition tolerance. Either these two together, or either these two together, or either these two together. If these two together, then structured data. If these two together, semi-structured or unstructured data. Okay, now I am going to have, again, there is a decision making. Okay, relational database management. I'm creating some table directly. I'm storing my data, okay, as a fields. But now, if you see, or if you get a clear-cut predictable load, right? So in this case, you go with, because you know how much people will come maximum, even worst case also, how much people can access at a time concurrently. Okay, in that case, you have a clear-cut control. But if you think you don't have any visibility, or you don't have any control over the prediction or the load, then you need to think about a similar databases. Okay, now if you have any semi-structured or unstructured data, right, it's a key value database like a JSON file, directly CSV file and all, XML file. So in that case, you need to think about storing in this area, or if you have a images, documents, directly you need to think about here. Now there is another area. Have any of you thought about you are storing something in S3 bucket? Okay, here we are all talking about from application, frequent retrieval, frequent access, frequent processing. But there should be another case where I'm putting some data, I'm analyzing, I'm just storing the data, but once in a while, maybe every month 10 times or every month 5 times only, I need to check or validate or refer or I need to just get some report very few times. In this case, I don't need any database, I don't need all this flow, but still I want to access this whenever I need with very less time. In that case, have anyone explored similar services, 𝐿𝐻? First of all, what kind of a scenario, what kind of a situation you need to recommend? You will recommend this. Why you should not recommend such services here? Can anyone have any idea? Why I should not use 𝐻 in this situation? Why I should use in this situation? 𝐻 is one of the services in AWS. Why I should not use 𝐻 in? Okay, go ahead, Maniendra.
I think you mentioned it's very rare case if there is any request we have to use this service. That's what my understanding. So in here we keep on getting request. Some load will happen, then we go to Lambda.
Okay, so is there any other purpose? Anyone? Any other purpose? Any other purpose? Later. Naveen, Madhavi, yes. Yeah, Ubino.
The cost of 𝐻 is a little bit higher when compared to Lambda.
It's not higher. It's a huge. It's a really expensive. So please think before you propose 𝐻. I'll just show you. I'm going to show you the whole session hereafter is going to be with the calculators only. I'm going to give you a good idea. So more than this, it's all your cup of tea. I'm going to say daily I'm receiving say 100 requests. Okay, are you able to see my desktop, the calculator? Okay, I'm going to say daily per day I'm receiving say 10 GB. So you can say see $148 just for 100 queries. Okay, if I go with say monthly, if I assume because this and all, it's here we are talking about a huge number application will access every time, right? Definitely per day it's going to be 1,000 to 1,500. That is a I'm saying very minimum. So in that case, if I go with that calculation, minimum with 1 terabyte. Are you able to assume how much expensive it is? Because the thing is, it's a per query basis. So please be aware. Please be careful before you propose such services, or if you get into any project, if you are seeing some bad architecture people are proposing, you straight away raise your hand and argue with them, because these are all services. When you need, whenever you have some workflow like this and you have a very less time, this will be really useful to go with ad hoc queries. Okay, can anyone tell me, just now I explained, I received the data. Okay, I'm going to validate the data, I'm going to create the metadata. Okay, but here the data will be available. So whenever there is a query, say I'm a data scientist, so whenever there is a query, I will use 𝐻𝐻𝐻 as a service, and I'm going here. I'll also show you where is 𝐻𝐻𝐻. Okay, let me just log in. Got timeout. Okay, in the meantime, if anyone wants to share any input or any views on this, why we should not use 𝐻𝐻𝐻 in a regular thing, why we need to use it in ad hoc. One is the huge billing. The another one is every time you need to scan the data. In this, again, if you show calculation, see here, there is a scanning also have to have, because 𝐻𝐻𝐻 is something you are showing the folder every time it will go and read. But if you have a metadata, every time you no need to go and scan, because metadata it is having all the details. If you request some data, automatically the metadata will know, okay, you are asking the so and so file, so you go there and take it. Okay, you are the owner, yes, you already have the access, so those properties will have it in metadata. So if I go here, 𝐻𝐻𝐻, yeah, see here, so 𝐻𝐻𝐻 is one of the service. So normally you prefer or do POC, it's really easy. So you can already use this. See here, the diagram itself, you can use any data source, but use 𝐻𝐻𝐻 only. It's a very less kind of ad hoc queries. Maybe this month 10 times, maybe next month 5 times, maybe next month only 3 to 4 times. Those kind of ad hoc query, you can very well prefer this setup. So that is exactly I have shown here. Okay, so every time when you initiate the request, it will go and scan the data, and automatically your query will be answered. Okay, now I have stored the data in the database. Okay, now how I can access? How many of you heard about these tools like Power BI, Qlik, TIBCO, Spotfire? So these are all visualization layers, right? QuickSight is part of AWS native service. I can just show you. QuickSight is part of AWS service, but I never prefer this. But still, QuickSight is also having a lot of feature, but there are a couple of limitations. Okay, so Power BI is one of the successful product in the market, and even Qlik is one of the successful product. Data analytics, come down. So I am a data scientist or data analyst. I am going to use this dashboard to create a Qlik graph. Okay, how many of you know what is mean by data graph? Can you search this and go here and go and explore some of the okay, graph dashboard. Yeah. Okay, I'll show you after the break. So there is a dashboard also we can utilize. So on the fly, I can even go with. Because nowadays, whenever we do any project, you need to showcase. So how do you showcase? Through these dashboards. Okay, so now I'm just going. So here we are using this application. Now I need to export this data. Basically, here there is another condition. You need to expose. Say, for example, another application going to access this data. In that kind of a situation, you need to export. How do you export with full control? There is a AWS, there is a API gateway. So you can export via API gateway, or so there are a lot of websites going to have RSS feed. So in those kind of a situation, you can use this. The developer will make it available via API gateway, or you already have the JSON or CSV or text format. You can utilize this export, or you can have the direct JDBC SQL, because other database going to call your database. So these are the 4 options you can export it. Okay, how many of you know the EMR, AWS EMR you faced into your interview or exam or current scenario? Elastic Map Reduce. How many of you get into situation where EMR in your interview questions or your project? Anybody? Okay, go ahead. What is your situation in what you got?
Yeah, it is used for big data platforms.
Okay, no, wait. So it is used for big data platform. So what exactly it related to?
It's like it is used for data processing and
so data means it's going to you are expecting some data to receive, either some information about some huge people about their what they are interest, everything, right? So
yes.
that is how the social media is working, right? So I need to keep fetch what you need, so that I can display the relevant advertisements wherever you are browsing, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so in that case, the data what you are referring, it's going to be a live data, correct? Maybe LinkedIn data,
Yes.
maybe some kind of a social media data, correct? Yeah, Vikas, go ahead.
So
Yeah,
it is used
correct.
for clustering, I hope. So
Yes.
mainly our intention is there should not be any downtime. If one application is down, the other application should be actively without knowing the applicant. The application has gone down.
Yeah, but here also you no need you won't get any downtime. But the problem is here it's a serverless. This is also serverless, right? So now what I'm asking is, if the data is going to be the live, okay, the data volume is going to be enormous, Vikas. So if the data volume is going to be enormous, say 1 hour, you are going to get some 10,000 requests. In that same volume, if you go with the serverless, you will be killed with billing, right? So definitely you need to revisit, until unless business concrete decision is, no, I don't have any infrastructure business here. Okay, if you have a small team, if you have some decision, okay, with this team I can manage. The advantage here is the setting up the EMR, almost you have to take it this challenge. And once you set up, you are going to pay every hour billing. You agree? So this every hour, even you receive 10,000, it's going to be the same. Even if you receive 20,000, it is going. So you are going to pay per hour, but you can handle multiple volume. That is the exact. But the EMR you can think of, if you going to receive any live data to process. So directly it will come to here. Once you received, you are going to process using the AWS. There is a services, Kinesis. There are a lot of services, live data processing. So you think of that. Once you processed, you need some database, right? In that case, again, the decision tree will come. Either you are going to get some structured data, or semi-structured data or unstructured data. Again, the process going to remain, but the initial 2-3 option is either you will you will receive a live data or persistent data, or is going to be here. So this you need to have hereafter. I will share all this. I created a GitHub. So I just created as a day 1, day 2. So I'll share it in after this call. You can access all the files in the direct GitHub. So don't worry. Okay, now I'm going to just open a couple of files. How many of you know what is mean by real time? What is mean by near real time? What is mean by batch? What is mean by real time? What is mean by near real time? How many of you know what is mean by real time? Yes, Kaja.
Batch is something that will be processed every few minutes or few hours, or maybe once in a day.
See here, I'm just putting some. I'm an end user. Okay, so I'm keep on pushing a lot of live data. So from social media or whatever. So here using 𝐼𝐶𝑠, I am trying to analyze the data as soon as it comes. Okay, it's a live. So using this 𝐼𝐶𝑠 live data, I'm just trying to analyze and process it. It's most of the video broadcast and every live analysis, it's working like this. So, and then I'm using Lambda to put it as a notification plus the DynamoDB here. So as I said, web app, can you now correlate this diagram? This is going to be really useful. So they are uploading, accessing from web app. So here, come down. This is exactly I have showed here. So what are the format you are going to access? Either API. Most of the time nowadays going to access via API based. That is the most preferable way. So here real time means when you get a data, immediately you are going to process. That is exactly I have mentioned it here. Live. And the one more thing is, can you just see this data? Because after that we will go to direct hands-on. Okay, so you need to first decide what are the data sources, and that data source we are going to feed it to 𝐼𝐶𝑠 or Glue or Lambda to process. So once you validated as part of your processing, you need to analyze. So analyze, and then you have a lot of tools to report. So what are the tools? The data part, Qlik, Power BI, and even QuickSight, even Tableau, Power BI. So there are Spotfire, because this product it's upcoming somewhat good, TIBCO Spotfire. So these are all you can go for it. And how many of you started planning for data related projects? I just want to understand. How many of you started planning in future cloud related data projects or DevOps related data projects? Okay, Satya. So first of all, I'm going to ask a very simple question. How do you define the structured, semi-structured, and unstructured? Even I'm going to ask, what is real time? What is near real time? What is batch? I hope everyone is seeing the PPT. Yeah, Vikash, go ahead. Yes, Satya, go ahead.
As I know, real time is like the data processing is on live.
Yeah.
And when it comes to batch, it is a schedule request. Means whenever any request without user, it will
Yeah.
provide the information. schedule information.
Okay.
I don't have idea about the near real time.
Okay, near real time means, okay, I will just explain. That is why I thought to see, is everyone is clear what is structured, what is semi-structured, what is unstructured, right? So if you think about real time, I am getting the live data, I'm immediately processing it, and after process, I'm going to store it, I'm going to enable the notification, send a reminder, everything. But near real time, I already processed some data, okay, and I have some cache, or I am storing in the metadata. So near real time means in order to save the time, I am going to access this when on require on a frequent schedule, and I'm processing the data, right? So this is more going to help you to speed up the process instead of going all check, and I'm going to access only the particular condition basis. That is why clearly defined. This is going to be between real time as well as batch. So batch means it's a simple straightforward. You have some task, you are scheduling it according to the schedule. You are going to do whatever you want, right? There is a pretty much straightforward one diagram. I'm going to just show you. Let me just go. Near real time is okay. So see here, there is a batch and near real time. I have one more. Yes, this is the one. So after that, I will explain. Yeah. So if you say you are going to have live data and you are immediately process, and immediately you are going to analyze, immediately you are going to process, immediately you are going to send the results, or immediately you are going to show the demo. That is the real time. Near real time means you the same but slightly different. Means you are having some data, maybe you already process data or whatever, so you are just doing a process and you are analyzing. Remember, this data is already available, right? That data you are processing, but here you are just receiving the data fresh, and you are on the fly analyze and do everything on the fly. So here also you are doing, but this is going to be more faster because you are not going to receive on the fly from outside world, right? And here also you are going to do the same. You are going to do the same, but here you are already having some environment where you are receiving the same. Now you see here, the data ingestion is not come from the bulk, right? It's already available. You are going to take it and analyze it and publish it, or giving the report. This is the exact near real time. It's a slightly between real time and batch. Okay, so the Apache Spark, maybe I'm creating one detailed video step by step, because most of the people they ask for 𝐂𝐥𝐸. So I will implement it and I will share it with you. Anyway, you are all in the LinkedIn, right? So this is the flow. You will get the data, and using the infrastructure like EMR or whatever infrastructure, even here the Apache Spark, you are going to analyze the data. See, how many of you getting some difficulties to understand this compute? That is the major reason people are going for serverless, but serverless really going to have more expensive, because server compute, you have to create a cluster, you have to create a master, you have to create a worker node, you need to think about this entire infrastructure backup, you need to think about all support. Of course, you need to have a dedicated team to maintain this, right? So if your goal is to have infrastructure headache, again I'm repeating, then go for the compute based solutions. Satya, or see here, the near real time, you have almost mini batches. Like if you receive the data live, you can on the fly do it, right? But here you already have some data available in your premises or in your infrastructure. You take the data, you process it using there are a lot of tools available, right? But we are talking about only the AWS as of now, AWS and Azure. So stick to that AWS. So if you don't have some data, but you don't have a time, so you are keeping it in your, once you received, you are going to keep it. That data you are going to take for analysis, and you already received the data, but you are going to plan whenever you want to refer, and you already have the data, and you from there, whenever you need a result, maybe every Monday morning or every morning, so you take this data, process it, and publish it, right? So you already have the data, but as on when you want to react, instead of, because the live data is something different. When you receive, you need to immediately process, but here you received the data, and as on when you want to react, so you go for it. That is a near real time. Okay, now before going to the hands-on, I'm going for some more okay, some of you asked the vertical horizontal scaling. How many of you get into situation in interview or exam or projects? What kind of a scaling you ended up with, which you thought, okay, I don't know about scaling? Okay, go ahead, Vikas. What kind of a situation you faced?
I didn't face any situation, but I know about both type of scaling, vertical and horizontal. If I am not sure, please correct me. Vertical scaling means we need to be scale the instances, and when it comes to the horizontal scaling, we need to be scale up the resources in the server.
No, the last point need more clarity. Any idea? Okay, let me draw the diagram. First, we will go with the horizontal scaling. How many of you have input? What is mean by horizontal scaling? Any idea? Okay, Mani, Naveen, Vena, even Isaac. Yeah, go one by one. Go one by one.
Yeah, horizontal scaling is we have to add the resources on the single VM, because if the RAM or storage, whatever it is, we just increasing.
No, it's
okay.
Completely wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Increase the instance same size.
Sorry.
Are you taking the hand? The hands are up now.
So
yeah, go ahead, one by one. Go ahead, Isaac. Then we will go.
Okay. Yes. Horizontal scaling is by adding more instances.
Yes,
to,
exactly. So horizontal scaling means
you
can keep at server 1, server 2, okay, server 3, server 4. Maybe this server capacity is different. This server, normally it should be identical, but it's okay. So the horizontal scaling means you are adding this server. Okay. Vertical scaling is there is a two area where need to understand. Okay, vertical scaling. Okay, vertical scaling. Okay, we will go with the first scenario. I have a huge rack. Okay, maybe some Dell rack or HP. So there are a lot of hardware vendors are playing in the market. So vertical scaling means, okay, if you have the rack, okay, say for example, they already have 300 CPU. Okay, so you purchased only 100 CPU. I'm just giving some more examples, but remember the entire rack is having 300 CPU. Whenever you need additional because you may foresee a sudden burst, right? You previously, I still remember when I started my career, we used to raise a purchase order. We need to go a lot of process to procure physically and install it. It's going to be a hell process. But now all you need to do is you need to just agree the specific vendors and scale it. This is exactly is happening cloud. Whenever you need, automatically you need to just get the approval. Automatically you can start to use the additional. So in the same rack you can add more resources, right? This is not only CPU, I'm just giving an example, but you can add n number of resources whatever available in the whole rack, right? Sometimes these days there are a couple of vendors, they are also offering clustering in the rack itself, say 10 racks in one. So it will looks like one rack, but you will have a huge capacity. This way also they are calling us the scaling. So you need to clearly understand what is meant by horizontal, what is meant by vertical. So now my another main important question is, what kind of a scaling you prefer if you go with one project, or say for example, I have one application, right? That application is having some web need. So what scaling you go with it? Isaac, yes?
I will go with horizontal scaling because it has no limit. Your vertical scaling has a limit where you can reach.
Yes, exactly. Any other point? Vignesh, Subhash, Madhavi?
Yes, Vijay. Even I will go with the horizontal scaling. Depends on your use case. You can add your resources like EC2 instances or like that. So I will go for horizontal scaling for that application.
Okay. Okay. When you will prefer the vertical scaling? Any idea? When you will prefer vertical scaling?
Not normally vertical scaling will be prepared like the database.
Exactly. This is a very important. Please keep note it. If you have some performance based, especially on the disk IO, more sensitive. This normally comes with the data or data source, right? So in that case, don't think vertical scaling also it's kind of a single point of failure. No, where vertical scaling also they have a lot of redundancy in the same rack itself, but of course in the same rack. But if you have say two rack in the identical rack, if you want to have more data sensitive, then vertical scaling is more important. That is why how many of you here already explored the basic Kubernetes? So the pod, okay, I'll just quickly draw the diagram. So you know why in Kubernetes there is a option. I create a pod. In that pod, I am having so web server container, application container, and DB container. So one part of application, again, I'm creating another part, it will be duplicated. Again, I'm creating another part. So it's kind of a pod level duplication. Why it is there? Because whenever the Kube proxy receives any request, automatically it is sending to one of this part, right? So when I receive, I'm a pod. Who am I? I'm a pod. So when I receive the request, I have a web server. I have an application server. I'm just giving a layman example. I have a database server. So of course there is a persistent volume or mapped to this part. So it is very easy for me to process and decide and send back. Srinivas, yes, and Soban. Are you clear? See, there are situations
Yes.
where you need a horizontal. There are situations you need a vertical. So hereafter, whenever you get into any project, please spend some time. Don't go blindly, raise your hand. Okay, I need a vertical scaling. I need a horizontal. Just spend some homework. it will be really worth.
Yes, but vertical is for performance and
Exactly.
horizontal for high availability. So if we have,
you better hereafter you put like this the workflow like this. What exactly you need? Accordingly, you ask your questions, and that question will come up with many questions. Let it find. But once you find the answers, definitely you will have some good clarity. So hereafter, at least vertical scaling and horizontal scaling both are important, provided what exactly you need. You need a performance, you need a availability, you need. So this is the where people are really missing during most of my interview panel or most of the discussions. Yeah, Soben. Yeah, go ahead, Soben. Okay, Vikas, I think you have some. Vikas, you unmute.
We need to be use the horizontal in this case wherever we are using the load balancing. It means whenever the requests are coming to applications, the application is already processing the request. That's why other instances should be increased. So all the whatever the requests are coming, it distribute in multiple instances. In this case, we need to be used horizontal, and as someone said, the vertical we should be using databases. Yeah, it's right, because lot of situations database will consume the CPU and memory utilization. So whenever the request the queries will run highly, at that time the CPU usage and memory usage will be high. In this situation, we need to be create vertical scaling there.
Okay. So now I'm going to show you some of the hands-on. Okay, then I will proceed the parts. Okay, so now hope you are seeing my Azure portal, right? Okay, so now I'm going to click this. I'm going to say virtual. Suppose if you are not able to find out this, type virtual, okay, and machine. There is a option you will set like virtual machine scale sets, right? Click this. And create virtual machine scale set. I'm going to create a virtual machine scale set. Okay, create resources. Okay, and how if you are really not having any steps, please go to this. There is a class 21 I have given. So either you can create a CentOS or Ubuntu, or any machine you can create, right? So I'm going to create CentOS. Okay, so I'm going to create CentOS. Or you can go with even the Ubuntu. So I'm going to create this one. Mostly the procomputers.com image is giving really good. The others are really asking a lot of information, and some of the information even we type, it's not going to work out. So I'm saying server. I can say web application scale set. So let it be in central US and 1 GB 1 CPU memory, and I'm going to say password 𝐵𝐤𝐼𝐶𝐿. I can say, and I'm giving the password. I'm giving the password, and we are not going to install any web server, but still I'm going with the port 80 also. Disk. Since I want to save the cost during my learning, I don't want to go with the SSD because I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just learning. So go with the standard SSD and say networking. I'm going with all default settings. So custom storage account. I'm going with create new diag 1 because sometimes I'm getting some error. So that is why better I'm going with the new storage account. Say advanced. So if you have any custom scripts, it's an you can use it for Bootstrap. The Azure Bootstrap is this. This is the part. So tag it and review. So after the first break, we will start the outing. I have created the detailed one. So create. Let's wait. So once it got created, we will go and check it. Let's wait for virtual machine scale set. In the meantime, how many of you have a portal.azure.com account and doing some practice? Okay, okay. So let's wait for some time. It's getting created, so we can track it here. Actually, Akila, you also have to create all the prerequisites because from the next week it is very much needed. Can we just wait? We will go for it. Okay. In the meantime, we don't want to waste our time. I'm just going to explain a couple of things in Azure. Let it create. Okay. So are you able to see the desktop? In the desktop, can you tell me the first question? What I'm going to do is, you have created one VM. Say, for example, you have created one VM in Azure. You are stopping this VM from portal.azure.com. Okay. After you stop, again you are starting the VM. Tell me, the base hardware will be changed. I mean, the next time when you start this VM, will it start from other hardware or from the same hardware? Any idea? You raise your hand. Any idea? Muthu, yes. Even Mani.
The hardware will not change, sir. The IP address, public IP address will be changed.
Any other input?
I think hardware will change, I guess, from my point of view.
Yes, Vijay, the hardware will change because when you start, I mean, can you tell me the question? If you terminate that instance?
No. Shut down. See,
okay,
if you shut down the machine via portal.azure.com, then next time when you start, it may start from different physical host.
Yeah,
okay.
If you shut down the base hardware will not change.
If you go
terminate
to
that
OS,
instance, it will change.
Yes, if you go to OS and power off, then VM will never go to any other physical host. This is also one of the major thing missing. Can anyone tell me why I need to feel very important this point? In what use cases you will get this very mandatory?
Vijay, we are stopping the VM. We are not terminating the VM. That's why it will not. We are not creating new VM. The same VM we are powering it up. That's why it will not change the hardware. The hardware remains the same. Mostly if the IP address is dynamic or either elastic IP address, it may change. But if you provide that static IP address, even the IP address also will not change.
Yes. So this parameter, what kind of a situation it is really important with respect to application related. I can give a clue. Some of the licensing or what kind of a situation it is more important to have this always in our mind. What kind of a use cases?
No, don't have an idea.
Okay. Any other people? Why I need to keep remember this point whenever I need anything? Yeah, Akhil. Yeah, Rajkumar.
Hi, Vijay. When the application is dependent on the hardware, then we'll have to...
If you go with a dedicated hardware, or sometimes you need a specific parameters as part of your application licensing, or sometimes if you really don't want to go any GDPR related or your data governance related, because there are a lot of parameters. It's not simple. You can leave this parameter. If you are really going as a senior person, then this parameter is going to be very crucial. Even though it's a different hardware, then we need to start ask governance that or this hardware is shared by some people or only to me, or what kind of a data classification you are having in this. So these are all you need to have a proper agreement with the cloud vendors. So whenever you go any project or anything, these are all not going to change. Even the more versions come along in the upcoming years, but still these are all the points you always need to have it in your mind. Let's go further. I noted down a couple of points. So the availability set, what is fault domain, what is update domain? Any idea? What is fault domain? What is update domain? Any idea? What is a fault domain? What is update domain?
Vijay, this availability set will we use when we create a VM. So at the time we are mentioning like the fault domain means like we will give like a 3 VMs out of it. So if anything is fault, it will be up from the other two, like accessible from the other two. The update domain is like for any kind of a maintenance activity, if from hardware perspective Azure is planning. So that time it will come.
Any other input? Subhash? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the fault domain actually defines the group of the virtual machines that share the common power source or network. Like,
So in that case, if you are planning, okay, now hope you understand the criticality of RPO and RPO. Can anyone tell me how RPO and RPO are going to help me in this fault domain and update domain? Even though still it's not in our control, but during the support, during the agreement, during the huge project you are going to create it in any cloud provider, you definitely have to discuss this with the relevant person with cloud support. Okay, so if you say update domain, automatically there is a same patch panel, so they are giving some redundancy in the fault domain level as well update domain level, right? So how secure, say you need a 4 VM, okay, so in this how you are going to create it? So that is where if you go to VM, while creating a VM here, so if you go and create a virtual machine, while creating a virtual machine, you can select this very well and you can decide. So if you go here, there is an availability option. See here. So you can set availability set, and availability set, you can create it. When you create it, you can say fault domain. If you move the cursor here in the same fault domain, means it will share the common power and physical network switch, as you said. So update domain, it is going to have the group. So what is mean by update domain? Any person?
Vijay, is it useful for the multiple zones, like we are using one zone database data center, and if the data center goes down, then other domain will be activated in another zone?
See, in Azure, we don't have any control in this. So they are spread across the grouping. So all you need to do is you need to have some fault domain and update domain understanding. That's it. So the grouping and redundancy they are maintaining in the backend. But of course, if you are going to create a huge infrastructure in Azure, you can set up a call and they will happily going to give us a complete architecture, what they can give it to you as part of your regulations. But still, I'm just asking in the layman level, what is mean by update domains? You can even see here.
Before that, what's available set?
Say for example, you are giving a patching. So the patching will first take effect this update domain the level. Once update domain 0 is completed, then it will start the update domain 1. Then it will start here. So they are trying to ensure in the rack level also the redundancy, and even in the VM level also redundancy. So they have X level and Y level redundancy. So if you apply this X and Y level redundancy, they are trying to give you a more redundancy. Even if you miss out, you will have at least 1 or 2 replicas. Helen, yeah, go ahead, Helen.
Okay, I wanted to answer that. Okay, so it's logically used to resources to make sure a group of resources are good. So it usually happen in group, not just a single resource.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, update domain is used to group resources. to make sure a group of just to make sure a group of resources are grouped.
Yes, exactly. So basically, they are trying to make sure even you have a 4 VMs. Okay, so 2 VMs are in update domain 0 and 1 VM or update domain 1. That is how they are separating it, and 1 VM. So when you apply a patch, they are not going to give you all updation in one single shot. Even in the fault domain 0, only first they will touch here, and then they will complete, then they will touch here, then they will touch here. So if anything goes wrong also, still you will have a breathe time. That is why they want to separate in the all level redundancy. You are getting it, Helen?
Vijay, so we have one VM. So in that case, how in the background it is working? Like, so I have a VM. So I'm putting the update domain as 4. So in this case, how it will have a redundant?
Let me just show you. In that case, see, they have the backend replica. This is really not going to give visibility. Say, for example, I am giving, say, my web application. They have you heard about a VM where there is a DRS and all? So it's a backend replica is going to be a chain. Like if I create this with one server, they are going to have an identical copy for redundancy purpose. So if, say, for example, I'm just going to just put a one simple diagram. So you are creating a one VM, correct? You are creating a one VM, right? So in this VM, you are declaring your availability set, which means if you move the cursor here, okay. So can you just see this? What they are giving? So we recommend you to group 2 or more virtual machine in availability set. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
So the minimum recommendation is minimum 2. That is how we can say. Even if you go to Kubernetes, minimum 2 worker nodes. If you go to any cluster, minimum 2. Right? Apart from master, apart from server, you need a minimum 2. Even Ansible, you go and minimum 2. That is why most of my session also in Ansible, I used to keep flagged out minimum 2, because you need at least the failover functionality or crash functionality. If this goes down, so minimum 2 identical copy, then only they can apply this concept, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So they clearly said at least one virtual machine will available. So if you go minimum 2, then only they can apply this concept in the backend replicas. You clear?
Yes, Vijay.
Yeah. So now availability set, virtual machine scale set is ready. Now what we are going to do is we are going to just create some scalability. Now, how many of you performed any kind of a scaling in AWS or Azure or Kubernetes? Anybody? Soban, Subhash? Okay, so we'll do one thing. I'm going to stop.